I'm here at Barnstall Park in Los Angeles, California, home of Frank Lloyd Wright's Hollyhock house. It's a great place for some collage inspiration. Welcome back to the channel. So I had a very interesting day today. I got to go to the Hollyhock house, which is located here in Los Angeles in the Hollywood area. And it is a house that was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. If you've never heard of Frank Lloyd Wright, highly recommend you Google him and see his wonderful structures. So I enjoy going to places like that because I get inspiration. But I also get inspiration from things that may seem a little more mundane. And in this case, it was a box of Kleenex tissue. I loved this design, and while I had the Kleenex box, I was seriously mesmerized by this simple cardboard and this pebble-like mandala watercolor-ish work, and I wanted to do something with it. So as you can see, painstakingly, I have removed all of the little nuggets of color, and I've created something to me now that looks like a piece of lace almost. So I'm not planning on using this piece in a collage, but I'm definitely going to use it to help me build my collage this week. What I have off camera that I'm going to bring into the frame now are all the little pieces. I was thinking of maybe using them in another collage. I'm not sure because this was actually quite a bit of work to cut this out, but I'm pleased with it. I like the way it looks. I did another video with a similar technique, but not quite like this. Actually, now we're talking almost a couple of years ago. I'll put a link to that technique in the description, and I'll link it at the end of the video for sure. If I forget to put it in the description, I'll for sure put it at the end of the video here, so you can check it out. But this is going to be something different, using this Kleenex box design as inspiration. I have a couple of images that I want to work with. I'm obviously only going to choose one, but when I was choosing my focal point, again, I always make sure I have too much to choose from. So these were the ones that I was deeply considering. But I decided to go with this one. I think it's the profile and the shape of the hat, her clothing. I think this will work really well. And what I'm contemplating is, again, this design throughout her image and using new imagery to create something different. What I want to do is what I normally do, which is cut out features so we know we're still dealing with a face. And I'm going to take a little artistic license with this eyebrow. It's not quite shapely. Cut that out. And of course the eye. So important. I like the eyelash too. It's kind of hard to see. I'm not sure if I can cut it out well and do justice to it. I'm going to try. Just something to indicate the eyelashes because she's got these wonderful long eyelashes. And I want to emphasize them. So I think we can do that. Just cut something that looks like an eyelash. It's not too bad, a little messy on my part, but it's just a little bit of paper, and my scissors can easily trim that away. The other thing that was nice about cutting out my template from the Kleenex box, it didn't have to be super fancy, and I'm not worried about little corners that still have pieces of cardboard. They aren't as clean as they could be. That's okay. I'm not going to worry about that because, again, it's not going to be the collage. It's simply going to help guide the collage along. And, of course, the lips. I want to get those. I thought about doing a flip side with this image because flip side collages that I've done are a lot of fun with profiles and a lot easier too. But I think I just want to try this new little technique, twist on a technique. And I'm sure it's been done before. I just haven't really, looked into it to see if it's an actual technique that people use. And I do need to think about what my color scheme is going to be. I was thinking orange last night for whatever reason. I was really drawn to the idea of orange, but I'm not sure. So I am going to set her off to the side with my template. And I'm going to start sifting through some ephemera to see what will make this collage different. I'm not done yet hunting ephemera. I still have a couple magazines that I want to go through, but I want to kind of get started on this piece. So I have several bright color pieces that I believe I want to use for the face. And the HGTV magazine had a lot of wonderful swatches that I can play with and manipulate. But I want to start with her hat, and even though her hat is black, I'm still staying with that color theme. And it's not necessarily a black hat, it could be an indigo hat, but I kind of just want to get started on this piece to see how it goes, and also to give you a general idea what direction I'm going in. So what I'm looking at is something like this. Here we have these spaces, and I am going to tape the template down, and I'm going to just start cutting where the spaces are that I made when I created the template. Question is this how I want it to look? Is that where I want it to be? I'm going to play with it a little bit more because we're going to do this with the face also. And if I do this with the face, I kind of just want it to almost be like I really want it to be in the middle like this for the face. I really do. So do I start with the face? The face is always the focal point, right? So maybe I need to start with the face. Oh boy, and I'm not sure. I want to start with the hat because that's not as complex and I can manipulate that. I think I'll just start with the hat. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and start cutting. So here we have, I'm just placing the template where I think I want it. And where I see pieces like here at the edge. I'm not going to cut out this whole swatch. I'm just going to cut out this little piece. I'll just start with a small piece, and I'm using the template only as a guide. Nothing more. And I'm just going to cut the edge out of that piece. And we can start considering what we want to fill those places with. So what I could do, and what might be kind of fun, I don't have to do one by one. I can just go ahead and start this cutting. But we'll just work with the brim of the hat first, I think. And I'll do that in time lapse. Just the brim of the hat, and I took care not to cut where the model's hair was or the other portion of the hat or her face. And what happened, what I wanted to achieve, and I think we did okay with that, is we have this really interesting webbing. And we have the webbing from this template now on her hat. And I intend to do the same with the rest of the face. Now I want to make sure these pieces are clean, that we have some nice clean cuts. They're okay, they're not super clean, but I'm not upset with it. It's not bad. I am thinking about maybe darker colors for this brim of the hat. And I have some starry skies, a little indigo thing going on here. And I have this really interesting sketches from Michelangelo from the Sistine Chapel, I think. I'm not sure if I want to use that for this. And I want to mix it up. I want to play with it. Also some time-lapse photography of traffic. That might look good. So I'm just going to fill in the blanks. And I'm going to use tape because I think tape will keep things clean. You can use glue for something like this, but you are relying on some very delicate webbing of your paper. And packing tape might just work better with this. So I can flip it on the other side. I can see where some cleaning needs to be done. And I can maybe do that before I start, before I start gluing anything down. I have this. I like the way this looks, the time lapse. I'd like to put it perhaps here, and these two little spots. I can just do it like this. So I got a little bit of tape going on, and I don't have to use great big pieces of tape to achieve what I want to get here. So I'm just going to place it here in the space. And see, now we have a new little design for her hat. And what do I want to put next to it? Well, maybe this Starry Night. Contrast, even though we're working with smaller areas right now, contrast is going to be important. I want to be cognizant of it. I used the time-lapse photography there. You can barely see it. It's really small. That's okay. That's not a problem. So maybe I want to work with something that's not as busy. So maybe this little purple with the star would look really nice here. And how does that fit? It's going to fit okay. I just need to trim it down a little bit more. And the nice part about this also, it's just a design, so I can be a little bit more, I don't have to be as exact. It doesn't have to be super exact. It just needs to lay down on the paper. And I'm just going to tape it to the other piece of ephemera I just taped down because they belong together, and they will, I won't have to cut again except when I cut the image out. And let's look at this next part. Here is more of that time lapse. Maybe I want to put that there. Maybe that'll look good there, just to kind of have like a repeating pattern. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I'm good with that. So let's go ahead and do that. I did choose some ephemera that maybe would seem more meaningful, like this dove, a portrait of Lincoln. I don't know if I'm going to use that. I also had a portrait of Buddha. I don't know if I'm going to use those. I got enough of these smaller pieces because these are small areas that I'm covering, so I don't have to worry about, I may not have to run out of ephemera. That would be great. Let's just tape it down. And I'll keep working this way, and we'll probably finish this brim off pretty quick. Okay, this is coming along pretty well. This is what the back looks like. And here is the brim of her hat. I think it's looking pretty good, and I like it. And we will continue with this using our trusty little template. Now I just have to figure out, where did I put it? So this is where it was. I was able to kind of figure out, where it was. And I can continue on this way where this worked out pretty well with the hat. So I think what I'll do is we'll do some more cutting here, and we'll just continue with that pattern and see what we come up with. I'm excited by the way this is turning out. I did a little more cutting off camera, and we have a nice lacy pattern working. So we have these edges right here, and I just need to connect it back up with the same pattern. That's the plan anyway. I'm going to lift this up and just move it on down to the next section that I want to cut. Just keeping in line with what I'm doing, like this. I think that'll work. We'll just keep it up. So obviously I'm staying away from the area where we already did the brim of the hat. I want to keep that intact. Here is the area I wanted to pick up from those edges, and I find the corresponding point and I cut again. Yeah. Just going to continue cutting. So another little reveal, the hat is been cut clean for the template, all those little spaces. I'll gently remove this because I want to keep my template in place. The tape is helpful, but this cardboard is it's not as strong as it might seem. Actually, it is delicate because we have a lot of space, so I'm going to try to remove this as gently as possible and definitely hang on to that. So this is what the hat is looking like. And these are all my little spaces I get to fill with collage right now. It's a little bit of work, I won't lie to you. I kind of equate it to maybe doing some busy sewing or knitting when you're just you just want to relax but still get something done. It's kind of how I feel when I do this type of collage work where there's a lot of detail that needs my attention, but I just do it kind of slow and gives me time to be meditative and contemplative and all that good stuff. I think about the women before me who did sewing circles, made quilts and whatnot, and my grandmother who tried to teach me how to sew, and it didn't work. I never really learned how to sew. I can't even really sew a button on properly, anything, but this is what I do in place of sewing. I know it's a little difficult to see because I chose a dark background, but hey, you know what? You flip it around and that's what it's looking like. So fortunately we have a light background on the back side of our collage. So I'm going to fill in all these little gaps with all sorts of color. I'm probably going to stay with a darker color. So I want the contrast maybe with the face. With the face, probably have maybe some rainbow orangey feel to it. I'm not sure. I still need to collect more ephemera for this collage, so I'm by no means done at all, but I am really liking the way things are looking. I have this piece I was sharing earlier. It's the Michelangelo drawing sketches for the Sistine Chapel. And I know I could probably do something like that, but I don't want to do that. I want to kind of mix and match it up and put in other types of ephemera. Because I chose to make the brim dark, and the reason I chose darker ephemera for the brim is because I really want to focus on the light for the face and just make that pop out as much as possible. And we do have that issue that bugs me, the little bits of white in the corner, and that's also due to my choice of template, and that it's just a simple cardboard that built that Kleenex box, so I'm running into trouble with that. I'm not going to worry about it too much unless it really stands out, and I can always go back and clean it, but I have to clean it now if I'm going to do any sort of cleaning, because once I put the ephemera down, it's going to be really hard to go back and clean it, if at all possible, because I want to tape it down. Once I tape it down, it's a little more difficult to come back and do any sort of cleaning. I know when I did this first type of collage, this type of technique, I know I used glue once upon a time, and I don't really recommend that, only because it gets messy and you don't have a lot of space. Ooh, see, they break up a little bit, but I can tape that, and taping, that's easy. You don't have a lot of space in between this webbing to put glue and make it clean. Now you absolutely can, if that is your goal. Do it. Absolutely do it. So I'm going to get back to it. This white background is very helpful to see where I need to do cleanup. I'm also really not using that much adhesive. Tiny pieces of packing tape, even smaller than this. I can cut this in half and it goes a long way and it's pretty strong. So it looks like what we have here, I'm going to be going with our Michelangelo sketch, the purple board game, throw in a couple of the photography time lapse, this wonderful design just to break up monotony and add contrast. Not sure if I'm going to go with this, but I'll have it nearby. It's a nice light purple I can use. And I'm hanging on to these itty bitty tiny scraps because I'm noticing here and there, and it's not a big deal. I have a couple little gaps because I'm being very precise where I'm placing this ephemera in these small areas. If I get a gap, that's really not a big deal because I do have plenty of these smaller pieces, or worst case scenario, I put a dark piece of ephemera covering the back of the hat when I'm all done, and I know there won't be any gaps. So that's what we're going for. I love this, but I'm probably going to stay away from it for the hat. So I'm really excited how this is working. I like being able to see it on the back of the white paper because it was really actually getting a little difficult. This is really fun. I really like doing this. It's very soothing and interesting for me. So I'm going to go off camera and get a lot done. I will show you the hat when it is complete. The hat is done. That actually did take as long as I anticipated. Ran into issues with what I wanted to pair the ephemera up with. I didn't want two pieces to match too much, but I am very pleased with the way it turned out. I like the webbing look, and this is what it looks like on the back. Not too messy. I was trying to be kind of sparing with I tried to use the tape sparingly. There are little craftsmanship issues like right here and along the lines, but all in all, it doesn't look that bad. I am pleased with it. This may be an opportunity where when I cut this butterfly out, I may just put them here to clean things up a little bit. That being said, maybe I'll just cut him out. So next is going to be the face. I'm going to do the same technique with our template, with our lacy template. And the color scheme I want to use is just that, like a major color scheme, but heavy on orange. The color scheme obviously for the hat was indigo, dark blue, purple, and orange is the contrast of those colors. So I think I want to go in that direction. But first things first is, well, I'm going to finish this little butterfly. And then I am going to do some more cutting. The template is working. It's there are parts of it, it gets cut also when I am using it to cut out the magazine paper. So it's also getting a little bruised and battered. And that's to be anticipated. It is a huge part of the collage without being in the collage. So here's my butterfly I just cut out. I might place it here, maybe tuck it. Can I tuck it here? Well, I want to cover up this little bit, this messy bit. So I could do something like this. I'll think about it. I kind of like that because the butterfly wings match the webbing of this a little bit. I'll put this off to the side and I'll take it into consideration. What I am going to run into difficulty is when I am cutting the face because of the eyebrows and the eyes, the lips. Those are delicate areas. What I'm thinking of just this very second is making this more into maybe keeping her face intact. But then why did I bother cutting the eyes and the eyebrows, the lips up? Because I did want those images too. It's going to be a little tricky. I think I'm just going to stay with my original idea. So this is how I had my, is this the, okay. So we were like this. So we want to come down one more like that. Oh, but then we have this area that needs to be cut. So maybe I'll just start here. Maybe I can do it at a diagonal, like a diamond shape. keep things a little different. Yeah, I'm going to run into trouble when I put the eyes and the lips back on. The nose will help me find my way, fortunately. So maybe I'll go off the mark a little bit. We'll start off at kind of a diagonal and just move our way forward. And I think we should have a successful piece as a result. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to go ahead and paste things down with some drafting tape that's not too sticky. And we're just going to start with our cuts. So here's where the lips are. What's going to help too is I have, at least for the lips, because they're definitely in profile, that'll help me find where I need to put the lips as long as I keep the template in shape. Okay, so let's see how this is looking. I'm going to gently remove our lacy template from our model's face. Adhesive and all. Drafting tape, actually. Acting as an adhesive. And yeah, that's looking pretty cool. Let's get a better look at it with the watercolor paper I was using. See what kind of collaging adventures we're going to have next with this. Yeah, that's very interesting. So you can see where the eye was supposed to go and the nose. So I should be able to figure this out. I know there's a little portion here I was concerned about, but in terms of getting everything in place, I kind of like the way this is looking as it is. Maybe keeping this portion to indicate, not doing the whole head and face in this. I don't know. I really like the way that looks. Just a portion, you know, not covering the whole thing with collage. So here are some of the choices for color that I want to put in. Start with these swatches. I don't want to put in too much of a white background because we're already working with a white background. We really want to be transformative with this. So here is some nice orange pastel type of thing going on here. Use this, and would that be a good contrast? Had some rainbow. That might be interesting for the eye area. Something like that. Not the whole thing, just I don't know, maybe the whole thing. I have my eyes over here, or the eye. And remember, we wanted to maintain some of that eyelash. We want a nice contrast here. I think it went here. See, this is where it's going to get a little tricky. Where did the eyes go? Because I cut all of that away, and now what? Maybe there? Shoot, I can't remember now. Help me, guys. Where was it? I'll figure it out. And this is where, I think it went there. Okay, I'm lucky. This little stem from the nose, that's where it goes. And the lips, fortunately, are a lot easier. So we go about right here. And this is where I can question my choice in contrast and color. Would this work well? Yeah, it pops out pretty well. I might want to use yellow. Okay, I'm liking these colors. Everything's looking good. So we are going to proceed. The eyebrow, I'll find someplace where or I'll leave it out altogether. Maybe not. I really like how this rainbow is looking. because it has the different spheres of color coming through, and it's already kind of separate. There's also this large circular yellow portion that's actually reminiscent of that other piece that I used up in here in the hat. But I think I want to continue doing what we were doing with the hat, with the face, doing the little bits of color here and there. Now, because the eyes are so delicate and so important to this piece, I might just tackle that first. Kind of get that out of the way so we can establish where the eyes go. They're in the appropriate place. And they were kind of like in this area. And how does that look? Does it stand out? It stands out pretty well there. I like that. Let's play with some more. I had a teacher, and I think I shared this before, who would say, if it looks good, what's going to make it look great? And at the time, because I was really like, I was working so hard on a project, and that was the answer I got was, well, if it looks good, what's going to make it look great? I'm like, that's the last thing I wanted to hear. But when you have time, if you can ask yourself that question, go ahead and take it seriously. What will make it look great? If you're an art student and you got a million other things to do and you're working, hearing that makes you want to scream. And believe me, I did. But it was a good lesson, and it was really important. And just a word to anyone who might be in art school right now. Art school is where you get your information, your foundations, and you discover your talent. And it's really after art school that you come into your own. So if you're frustrated right now and you're in art school and you're wondering, what have I gotten myself into? Was it worth it? Just remember, you are a sponge of knowledge right now, and you are simply gathering information to really find your voice. No one told me that when I was in art school, and sometimes I didn't enjoy art school because of that. But now I know what its purpose was, and its purpose was to teach me so I could take those lessons into other parts of my life. I didn't have to master what I learned. It's nice if you can, and there are people who do that, but I'm not one of those people. I did not find my voice, my artistic voice, until about 5 to 7 years out of art school. And believe me, that was, I had no idea what was going on. Anyway, enough of that. Enough of the lecture. I am right now playing with what's going to make it look great. Because I'd like for it to look great. And this is how you try and search for what's best for your piece. I kind of like this because it's a little muted, and it might work pretty well. I liked this too, so I liked the stripes because they offer a contrast again to the web. The web is more biomorphic and free for all, whereas this is more curved and kind of looks cool. this is where my thinking's going. I am thinking, I was going to do this portion too, in a similar fashion to this. But then I thought, well, just make my life easier, cut this out, and I have an idea for a background. This would be a lot more work to do, but then we would be continuing with our same pattern. I want to keep the color scheme, leave it alone for the face, and continue with the clothes on the bottom with this same pattern. I went ahead and cut out her jacket, and I'm kind of liking the simplicity of just the web itself. And I'm thinking about doing this. I'm going to cut the template free. I need to maybe put it on the back of a dictionary page. Or I scan it and I play with color. I always say that I'm going to scan it and play with it in Photoshop. And I do, but not as much as I could. And it definitely transforms, and it offers contrast then if I filled this up with similar colors too. I kind of like that. As a last-minute touch-up, and to avoid any copyright infringement, I gave our model a new earring, made up of the very Kleenex Box pieces that were cut up to make the template. Let me know in the comments what you think and if this is a technique you would like to try. And once again, thanks for watching.